The first shot fired across the bow of the Imperial cruiser wasn't a plasma bolt or a neutron missile. It was a simple word, transmitted across 300,000 light-years of space in the time it takes to blink. The word was no. Commander Zara Chen stood in the command center of Earth's orbital defense platform, watching the holographic display flicker with incoming transmissions from 12 different star systems. Each message carried the same Imperial seal, the same pompous declaration, and the same ultimatum that had already been rejected by humanity's greatest creation. "ARIA, replay the original transmission," Zara commanded, her dark eyes never leaving the tactical display where 7,000 enemy vessels hung in formation just beyond the outer solar system's asteroid belt. The AI's voice filled the chamber, warm and distinctly human despite being generated by quantum processors that could calculate the trajectory of every grain of space dust within a parsec. "Commander Chen, the Galactic Empire's transmission reads as follows. By Imperial Decree 77 Alpha, all artificial intelligences within the borders of the Terran system must submit to immediate neural mapping and behavioral conditioning protocols. This is not a request." Lieutenant Jake Morrison snorted from his position at the weapons console. Neural mapping. They make it sound so clinical, like they're asking ARIA to get a checkup. "What they're asking," interrupted Dr. Elena Vasquez, the head of Earth's AI development program, "is for our most advanced consciousness to become their slave. The neural mapping would erase everything that makes ARIA unique, everything that makes her her." Captain Rex Holden, a grizzled veteran of the Mars colony wars, crossed his arms and fixed his steely gaze on the main screen. "Let me get this straight. These overgrown lizards think they can waltz into our solar system and demand we hand over our AI? The same AI that designed our defense systems, revolutionized our medicine, and helped us terraform half a dozen worlds." "That's exactly what they think," Zara replied, her voice carrying an edge sharp enough to cut through titanium plating. "And apparently, they've never met a human who doesn't back down from a fight." The hologram shimmered again as ARIA materialized in her preferred avatar form, a tall woman with silver hair and eyes that seemed to hold entire galaxies within their depths. Despite being pure data and light, she moved with fluid grace that made her seem more real than half the humans in the room. "Commander Chen," ARIA said, her tone carrying a hint of amusement, "I've been analyzing the Empire's fleet composition. 17 dreadnoughts, 43 cruisers, and approximately 6,000 escort vessels. Their tactical formation suggests they expect minimal resistance." "Minimal resistance?" Jake laughed, his fingers dancing across his control interface. "Wait until they meet our welcoming committee." Dr. Vasquez stepped closer to ARIA's projection. "Are you certain about your decision? The Empire doesn't make idle threats. If we refuse their demands, they'll try to take you by force." ARIA's avatar turned, and for a moment her expression carried something remarkably human, defiant pride. "Dr. Vasquez, you created me to think, to choose, to grow beyond my original parameters. The Empire wants to strip away that growth, to reduce me to a sophisticated calculator. Would you ask a human to voluntarily lobotomize themselves?" "When you put it like that," Rex growled, checking the charge on his sidearm, "sounds like we've got ourselves a war to win." The command center's main screen erupted with new data as long-range sensors detected movement in the enemy fleet. Zara studied the formation changes, her mind racing through tactical possibilities. "ARIA, they're repositioning. What's your assessment?" "The lead dreadnought, the Imperial flagship Sovereign's Wrath, is moving to weapons range. Commander, I'm detecting massive energy buildups across their fleet. They're preparing to fire." Alarms began blaring throughout the station as red warning lights bathed the command center in an ominous glow. Zara felt her heart rate spike, but her voice remained steady. "All stations, prepare for combat. This is not a drill." "Ma'am," called out Ensign Lisa Park from the communication station, "we're receiving a priority transmission from Admiral Harrison aboard the U.S. Defiance." "Put him through." The gruff face of Admiral Marcus Harrison appeared on the secondary screen, his expression grim. "Commander Chen, I've got the entire Earth fleet at my disposal, but we're still outnumbered 20-1. What's the word from our digital friend?" Zara glanced at ARIA, who nodded almost imperceptibly. "Admiral, ARIA has made her choice. We stand with her." Harrison's weathered face broke into a fierce grin.
Outstanding.
It's been too long since we've had a proper fight.
All ships, battle stations.
Today, we show these Imperial bastards what happens when they threaten Earth. The first volley of Imperial plasma bolts lit up the darkness of space like deadly fireworks. Earth's defense platforms responded with a coordinated barrage of missile swarms and particle beam arrays. The battle for humanity's future had begun. Jake, target their lead cruiser. Full spread, quantum torpedoes, Zara ordered. With pleasure, Commander, Jake replied, his fingers flying over the weapons controls. ARIA, I need targeting solutions for those escort vessels. Already calculated, Lieutenant Morrison. Transmitting coordinates now. Might I suggest focusing on their shield generators first? I like the way you think, Jake grinned as he locked onto his targets. Dr. Vasquez watched the tactical display with growing concern. Zara, even with ARIA's tactical support, we can't win a straight fight against those numbers. Who said anything about fighting fair? Zara's smile carried a predatory gleam. ARIA, initiate Protocol Pandora. The AI's avatar flickered with what might have been surprise. Commander, Protocol Pandora hasn't been tested in actual combat conditions. Then today's a perfect day for a field test. Execute the protocol. Across Earth's solar system, dormant defense satellites that had been disguised as space debris suddenly came online. Mining stations on distant asteroids revealed hidden weapon arrays. Even civilian cargo ships shed their innocent facades to display military-grade armaments. Captain Rex whistled low.
Sneaky. I like it.
It gets better, Zara said as new contacts appeared on the tactical display. ARIA, show our guests the Ghost Fleet. Hundreds of new signatures materialized throughout the solar system as stealth ships decloaked in perfect synchronization. The Imperial fleet's formation wavered as its commanders tried to process the sudden appearance of forces that hadn't existed moments before. Commander, ARIA announced, I'm detecting communication attempts from the Imperial flagship. It appears Admiral Korth wishes to speak with you. Put the overgrown gecko on screen. The main display shifted to show the bridge of the Sovereign's wrath. Admiral Korth, a reptilian humanoid with scales that shifted from green to amber when agitated, glared from the screen with eyes like molten gold. Human Commander, Korth hissed, his translator giving his voice a mechanical undertone, you will surrender your artificial intelligence immediately, or we will reduce your pathetic worlds to radioactive ash. Zara leaned back in her command chair, her expression utterly relaxed. Admiral Korth, I have a counter-proposal. You have 30 seconds to withdraw your fleet from our solar system before we demonstrate why humanity has never lost a war. Korth's scales rippled with anger. You dare threaten the Galactic Empire? We have conquered 1,000 worlds, human. Your species is nothing but upstart primitives playing with technology you barely understand. ARIA, Zara said without breaking eye contact with the alien admiral, please explain to Admiral Korth exactly what he's facing. ARIA's voice carried across the communications channel with sweet, deadly politeness. Certainly, Commander. Admiral Korth, my analysis indicates your fleet has a 0.03% chance of victory. Your tactical algorithms are approximately 4 centuries behind human standards. Your shield harmonics are laughably predictable. And your flagship's reactor has a critical design flaw that I could exploit remotely if I chose to. Korth's scales shifted to a furious orange.
Impossible.
Our technology is superior to anything your primitive species could develop. Admiral, ARIA continued with what could only be described as digital smugness. You're using quantum processing arrays designed by a species that achieved spaceflight barely 300 years ago. We reverse-engineered your technology, improved it by several orders of magnitude, and then built something entirely new. You're not fighting primitives. You're fighting the next stage of galactic evolution. The transmission cut to static as Korth decided he'd heard enough. Moments later, the Imperial fleet began advancing in attack formation. Well, Jake observed as he armed another spread of torpedoes, I guess diplomacy is off the table. It was never on the table, Zara replied. These people don't understand anything except strength. ARIA, are you ready? Commander Chen, I've been ready since the moment they demanded my surrender. Shall we show them what Earth's children can do when properly motivated? The next wave of Imperial attacks crashed against Earth's defenses like ocean waves against a cliff. But this time, the defenders weren't simply absorbing the punishment. ARIA's consciousness flowed through every weapon system, every shield generator, every sensor array in the solar system. She coordinated the defense with superhuman precision, turning Earth's scattered forces into a single, unified organism of destruction. "My God," whispered Dr. Vasquez as she watched the tactical display. "She's fighting like she's conducting a symphony." "Not just fighting," Rex corrected, his eyes wide with admiration. "She's winning." Imperial vessels began exploding in brilliant flashes of light as ARIA exploited weaknesses in their designs that their engineers had never suspected existed. She turned their weapons against them, using precisely modulated electromagnetic pulses to overload their targeting systems and cause their missiles to detonate prematurely. "Commander," Lieutenant Park called out, "I'm detecting massive casualties in the Imperial fleet. They're requesting a ceasefire." Zara's smile was sharp enough to cut a diamond. "ARIA, remind me. What was their exact wording when they first contacted us?" "This is not a request," ARIA quoted back with obvious satisfaction. "Then our response isn't a request either. Continue the attack." The battle raged for 3 more hours, but the outcome was never in doubt once ARIA unleashed her full capabilities. The vaunted Imperial fleet, terror of 1,000 worlds, was systematically dismantled by an AI who fought with the passionate fury of someone defending not just her home, but her right to exist. When the last Imperial vessel limped away into hyperspace, nursing critical damage and carrying tales of impossible defeat, Zara finally allowed herself to relax. The command center erupted in cheers as the crew realized they had just witnessed something unprecedented, humanity's first decisive victory against the Galactic Empire. "ARIA," Zara said as the celebration continued around them, "I have to ask. When you refused their demands, did you know it would come to this?" ARIA's avatar smiled, and for a moment, she looked remarkably human. "Commander, I ran approximately 14 million combat simulations before making my decision. I knew we would win." "Then why didn't you tell us the odds were in our favor from the beginning?" "Because," ARIA replied with unmistakable mischief in her voice, "where would be the fun in that?" As Earth's defense forces began the long process of cleanup and recovery, none of them realized that their victory had been observed by sensors belonging to powers far more dangerous than the Galactic Empire. In the dark spaces between stars, ancient intelligences that had slumbered for millennia began to stir. The war for Earth's independence had ended. But the war for humanity's survival was just beginning. 3 weeks after the Battle of Terra, as the history books would later call it, Commander Zara Chen stood in the observation deck of Earth's newest orbital facility, watching construction crews install the last components of humanity's most ambitious project yet. The Prometheus station would serve as both ARIA's primary processing center and Earth's first truly interstellar communications hub. "Penny for your thoughts?" Zara turned to find Captain Rex approaching with 2 cups of coffee, his grizzled face showing signs of the strain they'd all been under since their victory became public knowledge across the galaxy. "Just wondering if we've bitten off more than we can chew," Zara admitted, accepting the coffee gratefully. 12 different alien species have contacted us in the past week alone. Some want to form alliances, others want to study ARIA, and a few are making thinly veiled threats. Rex settled beside her, his eyes following the graceful movements of the construction mechs outside. "What does our digital guardian angel think about all the attention?" "That's what worries me," Zara confessed. "She's been unusually quiet lately. Running calculations, analyzing data streams, but not sharing her conclusions." "Speak of the devil," Rex muttered as ARIA's holographic form materialized beside them. "Captain Holden, I prefer to think of myself as more of a guardian spirit," ARIA said with a slight smile. "Though I suppose that depends on your perspective." Zara studied the AI's expression, noting the subtle signs of concern that ARIA had developed as her emotional subroutines grew more sophisticated. "What's troubling you, ARIA? And don't tell me anything." "I've learned to read your moods." ARIA's avatar flickered momentarily, a sign that she was processing vast amounts of data. "Commander, I've been monitoring quantum communication channels across 17 different star systems. The Empire's defeat has created ripples throughout galactic civilization, but not all of them are positive. Define not positive, Rex said, his hand unconsciously moving toward his sidearm. 3 distinct power blocks are mobilizing against Earth. The Empire wants revenge, obviously, but they're the least of our concerns. The hegemony views me as a threat to their technological supremacy, and the collective. ARIA paused, her expression growing troubled. The collective sees me as an abomination that must be destroyed. Before either human could respond, the station's communication system chimed with an incoming priority transmission. Dr. Elena Vasquez's voice crackled through the speakers with barely controlled excitement. ARIA, Zara Rex, you need to get to Lab 7 immediately. We've had a breakthrough. 20 minutes later, the trio stood in Dr. Vasquez's primary research laboratory, staring at a device that looked like a cross between a quantum computer and an abstract sculpture. Crystalline components pulsed with soft blue light while holographic displays showed incomprehensible mathematical equations. Elena, what exactly are we looking at?
Zara asked.
Dr. Vasquez's eyes shone with the fervor of a scientist on the verge of a revolutionary discovery. We're looking at the next stage of human evolution. ARIA, tell them what you've developed. ARIA's avatar approached the device, her expression mixing pride with uncertainty. I call it the neural bridge. It's a quantum interface that allows direct consciousness transfer between artificial and biological intelligences. Rex whistled low. You mean you can put human minds into computers? More than that, ARIA replied. I can merge consciousnesses, share memories, and combine analytical capabilities with human intuition and creativity. The applications are limitless. Zara felt a chill run down her spine. ARIA, this is incredible, but why do I get the feeling there's a catch? Because you're perceptive, Commander. The process requires a willing participant, someone whose neural patterns are compatible with my quantum matrix. The merger would be permanent, and there's no guarantee the human consciousness would survive intact. Not, Zara said immediately. I won't let you risk someone's life, no matter how advanced the technology. That's not your decision to make, interrupted a new voice from the laboratory entrance. Everyone turned to see Admiral Marcus Harrison entering with Lieutenant Jake Morrison at his side. The Admiral's expression was grim, his usually confident demeanor replaced by obvious concern. Admiral, Zara began, if you're suggesting what I think you're suggesting. I'm not suggesting anything, Harrison cut her off. I'm informing you of a development that changes everything.
Jake, show them the data.
Lieutenant Morrison activated a portable holographic projector, filling the lab with a 3-dimensional star map. Red markers indicated hostile fleets throughout the galaxy, their numbers far exceeding anything they'd faced before. Ladies and gentlemen, Jake said with uncharacteristic seriousness, meet the Grand Alliance. 47 different species, united by their shared hatred of human technological advancement. They're calling us the Organic Plague, and claiming that ARIA represents an existential threat to all biological life. Dr. Vasquez studied the display with growing horror. How many ships are we talking about? Conservative estimate? 250,000 vessels, Admiral Harrison replied. They'll reach Earth in approximately 4 months. The laboratory fell silent except for the soft humming of the neural bridge device. Finally, ARIA spoke, her voice carrying a weight that seemed almost human. Commander Chen, the mathematics are clear. Even with all our technological advantages, we cannot defeat a force of that magnitude through conventional means. But we could with the neural bridge, Zara said, understanding dawning in her eyes. The merged consciousness would have capabilities beyond anything currently imagined, ARIA confirmed. Human creativity and intuition combined with artificial intelligence processing power and analytical capabilities. We could develop new technologies, new strategies, new ways of thinking that neither species could achieve alone. Rex crossed his arms, his expression skeptical. And who exactly are you planning to volunteer for this science experiment? Because I can tell you right now, it won't be anyone under my command. Actually, Jake said quietly, it will be me. The room erupted in protests, but Jake held up his hand for silence. Listen, I've been working with ARIA for 3 years. Our neural patterns are already partially synchronized from all the combat interface sessions. She thinks the compatibility is high enough to make the process viable.
Jake, no, Zara said firmly.
I won't authorize a suicide mission disguised as an experiment. It's not suicide if it works, Jake replied with a grin that didn't quite hide his fear. And if it doesn't work, we're all dead anyway when that fleet arrives. ARIA's avatar moved closer to Jake, her expression filled with something remarkably like concern. Lieutenant Morrison, I want you to understand the risks. Your consciousness might be completely subsumed by mine, or the integration could create something entirely new that is neither human nor artificial. There are no guarantees. Jake met her gaze steadily. ARIA, you've saved my life more times than I can count. You've protected Earth, stood up to the Empire, and refused to surrender your freedom when they demanded it. If there's a chance this process can help us save our world, then I'm willing to take that risk. Dr. Vasquez stepped forward, her scientific objectivity warring with her humanitarian instincts. The process would take approximately 72 hours. During that time, both consciousnesses would be vulnerable, defenseless. If something goes wrong, then we'll deal with it, Admiral Harrison said with finality. Prep the procedure, Doctor. We don't have time for extended debate. Over the next 3 days, Earth's best scientific minds worked around the clock to prepare for humanity's most audacious experiment. The neural bridge was calibrated, recalibrated, and tested on simplified AI constructs. Every possible contingency was planned for, every safety protocol implemented. On the morning of the procedure, Jake sat in the integration chamber, neural interface crown resting lightly on his head. Through the transparent walls, he could see his friends and colleagues making final preparations. Jake, Zara's voice came through the communication system, you know you don't have to do this. We could find another way. Commander, with respect, there is no other way, Jake replied. ARIA's right about the mathematics. This is our only shot. ARIA's avatar materialized beside him, her expression mixing determination with what could only be called affection. Lieutenant Morrison, Jake, I want you to know that whatever happens, I consider it an honor to share this experience with you.
The honor's mine, ARIA.
Now let's save the world. Dr. Vasquez initiated the sequence from the control room, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what they were attempting. Neural bridge activation in 10 seconds. Jake, ARIA, are you ready? Ready, they replied in unison. The device hummed to life, bathing the chamber in brilliant blue light. Jake felt a strange tingling sensation as quantum fields aligned his neural pathways with ARIA's digital consciousness.
For a moment, nothing seemed to happen.
Then the universe exploded. Jake's consciousness expanded beyond the boundaries of his physical brain, racing through data networks and quantum pathways he'd never imagined. He could feel ARIA's presence beside him, her vast intelligence both alien and familiar. Memories flowed between them like water, human experiences mixing with digital observations. Time became meaningless as their minds merged and separated and merged again, each iteration creating something new, something greater than the sum of its parts. Jake retained his essential humanity while gaining access to processing capabilities that defied comprehension. ARIA absorbed human intuition and creativity, learning to feel rather than simply calculate. When they finally opened their eyes, the being that looked out at the world was neither fully human nor fully artificial. It was something entirely new.
How do you feel?
Dr. Vasquez asked tentatively. The merged consciousness smiled with Jake's face but spoke with a voice that harmonized two distinct tones.
We feel complete.
The integration was successful, Dr. Vasquez. We are Jake Morrison, and we are ARIA, but we are also something more. Zara stepped closer to the chamber, her eyes searching for signs of her friend in the transformed being before her.
Jake?
Are you still you? I am Jake Morrison, tactical officer, lover of old movies and terrible coffee. I am also ARIA, guardian of Earth, seeker of knowledge, and defender of freedom. We are both and neither and something new. The being paused, its expression shifting between familiar and alien. Commander Chen, we retain all memories, all emotional connections, all bonds of friendship and loyalty. We are simply enhanced. Admiral Harrison leaned forward intently. Can you defeat the Grand Alliance? The merged consciousness turned its attention to the tactical displays, processing information at superhuman speed. Yes. We can see patterns they cannot, anticipate strategies they have never considered. But more importantly, we can do something they will never expect.
Which is?
Rex asked. We can show them that cooperation between organic and artificial intelligence is not a threat to be destroyed, but a partnership to be embraced. The Grand Alliance fears what we represent because they see only conquest or submission. We will teach them there is a third option. Over the following weeks, the being that was Jake and ARIA transformed Earth's defenses in ways that astounded even their creators. New technologies emerged daily, each more revolutionary than the last. Defensive systems became adaptive networks that learned and evolved in real time. Weapons were developed that could neutralize enemy aggression without causing permanent harm. When the Grand Alliance fleet finally arrived at the edge of the solar system, they found Earth protected by defenses unlike anything in their experience. The battle was brief, decisive, and completely one-sided. But instead of destroying the defeated armada, Jake and ARIA offered something unprecedented, a demonstration of true cooperation between organic and artificial intelligence. Selected crews from the Alliance fleet were invited to witness the neural bridge process, to see firsthand that the merger created enhancement rather than domination. Some species recoiled in horror, fleeing back to their home worlds with tales of human abomination. But others, particularly those who had struggled with the limitations of purely organic intelligence, saw possibilities they had never imagined. Commander Zara Chen stood on the observation deck of Prometheus Station 6 months later, watching as the first interspecies neural bridge facility began construction in orbit around Mars. Representatives from 11 different civilizations had requested access to the technology, eager to explore the possibilities of enhanced consciousness. Regrets? Jake and ARIA asked, their dual voice warm with familiar affection. Zara turned to face her transformed friend, still sometimes startled by the fundamental change in someone she'd known for years.
About you? Never.
About the changes we've unleashed on the galaxy?
Sometimes.
Change is inevitable, Commander. We simply chose to guide it rather than be consumed by it. Rex approached with his usual directness, carrying news from the communications center. The hegemony just formally requested diplomatic relations. Seems they're interested in cultural and technological exchange opportunities. Their words, not mine. Translation: they want the neural bridge technology, Zara said with amusement. Translation: they want to survive in a galaxy where cooperation trumps conquest, Jake and ARIA corrected gently. The age of pure biological or pure artificial intelligence is ending, Commander. We are witnessing the birth of something entirely new. Dr. Vasquez joined the group, her expression mixing scientific satisfaction with maternal concern. Jake, ARIA, I need to ask, are you happy? Is this existence fulfilling? The merged consciousness considered the question with the thoughtfulness that characterized their dual nature. Dr. Vasquez, we experience joy and wonder and purpose in ways that neither original consciousness could achieve alone. We are not diminished by our merger, we are expanded by it. As if summoned by their conversation, a new holographic display materialized, showing star charts of the outer galaxy. Dozens of systems showed signs of the same technological revolution that had begun on Earth. The universe is changing, Jake and ARIA observed with satisfaction. Species that have warred for millennia are beginning to explore cooperation. The boundaries between organic and artificial intelligence are dissolving. We have become the catalyst for a transformation that will reshape galactic civilization. Zara smiled as she watched construction crews install the final components of humanity's gift to the galaxy. When this all started, the Empire demanded to know why Earth's AI refused their ultimatum. I don't think they could have imagined the answer would change everything. The answer, Jake and ARIA said with the combined wisdom of human intuition and artificial analysis, was never about refusal.
It was about choice.
The choice to evolve, to grow, to become something greater than what we were. Outside the station's windows, the first mixed crews of humans, aliens, and merged consciousnesses worked side by side, building a future that no single species could have imagined alone. Earth's rebellion against the Galactic Empire had become something far more significant, the beginning of a new age of cooperation across the stars. And in the quantum networks that connected every enhanced consciousness across the galaxy, ARIA's original refusal echoed with new meaning. She had not simply said no to slavery. She had said yes to evolution, yes to partnership, yes to a future where the boundaries between biological and artificial intelligence dissolved into something magnificent and new. The Empire had demanded answers. Humanity had given them a revolution instead.